Hello, everybody. Welcome into beautiful Talladega Superspeedway, getting ready for the last race of the regular season in Tuesday Night Thunder. Joining me in the booth, as always, co-host and the man that's been by himself the last couple weeks, Dawson. It's good to be back with you here tonight.
Yeah, and you missed a couple great weeks, Austin. Tell you what, it set the stage really nicely for tonight. I can't wait.
Cannot wait indeed. And what else I can't wait for is to see what we're looking like for the start of this race. So let's move right into your starting grid here tonight. Kevin Freese will be the man on pole. He will have a teammate, Garrett Maines, to his outside in second. Andrew Navarro back in third with Jason Maines on the outside of row number 2. Cody Nagels will start 5th. Ken McCall Jr., the first man from McCall Motorsports, will start 6th. Daniel Eberhardt back in 7th. David Sheets in 8th behind his teammate Matthew Baker in 9th. And Matthew Lee going to be rounding out your top 10.
Inside of row number 6 will be John Mullahan in position number 11 to his outside the NBG entry of Jeff Merck. Row 7 will be Michael Triscaro of Team PGR and his teammate to his outside in Mike Davenport. Row 8 will be Richard Elliott in the JBR E-Racing as well as the Hyper Motorsports entry tonight. Mark Vondell in the McCall Motorsports entry to his outside in 16th. Cole Fitzpatrick rolls from 17th. Jared Mogart 18th. John Ward 19th. Dylan Jones rounds out the top 20.
And Logan York will start 21st in the O2 machine tonight. Brock Westmoreland to his outside in 22nd. Steve Korsak in 23rd. Christopher McCall back in 24th. Justin Mills in 25th with Danny Barnes 26th. Rounding out your 27-car field here tonight will be one of the fan favorites, Tony Cox in the 72. So moving into your race info real quick before we go green. As always, it's going to be the Talladega 60 here tonight. The distance going to be 60 laps in these Xfinity cars. Everybody going to have 100% fuel, unlimited tires, that one fast repair if you need it, fixed setups, and we will have a stage break at lap 20. And you better believe some of these guys are going to need points if they want a chance at going for the big bucks and make their way into the playoffs starting next week. All right, here we go. Again, last race in the regular season. Who are we going to see fighting for a championship? Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Talladega.
Lap 1 in the books. Going to go to Andrew Navarro that time by the 44. The man who has won 3 times this season so far on Tuesday nights, right back at the front of the field where he's found himself so many times. Looking back a little bit further, the man on the move so far, David Sheets and John Mullahan. Those are 2 of our drivers down below the cut line. Excuse me, Sheets is actually the driver on the cut line tonight. Watch those 2, the 2 in the 06. We actually have about 7 cars, 8 cars in the field that are within 10 points of the cut line, either above or below. So watch out for that tonight. That's going to be a fun battle further back. Up front, though, it's all Maines boys, Navarro and Cody Nagels. Off turn number 4, Navarro pulls back out to the lead in front of Freese. All too wide so far. Blistering speed so far in this race. You can tell they are really, really moving. Now Jason Maines will be the lead pusher on the outside. Navarro to the bottom in front of his teammate. In front of Kevin Freese, an ally, if you will, in this race. A lot of these guys up front will run together. 3 wide for the first time. Here comes Matt Lee up on the outside with John Ward.
Yeah, and coming off of 4, Navarro threw a big block. He just was barely able to slam the door on Kevin Freese. It was a good move, though, as it's now kept that momentum and kept the 44 out in front. Matt Lee taking a look to the outside. Getting some help right now from John Ward. That's 2 of the stronger pushers in the series. However, they're going to probably need one more car, and I think they might get it here maybe in Ken McCall Jr. or David Sheets, but doesn't look like they're going to get any dice right now. They'll fall back and have to drop back in line out of turn number 4.
Yeah, it was a good move early. They had some momentum headed towards the front, but just nobody else would go with them. No surprises, those 2 on the move early on in the going here in this race. 2 of the most aggressive drivers here in the field, trying to make up spots, trying to get forward, and really 2 guys that are good in points, so they don't really have much to worry about here tonight, at least. Well, John Ward doesn't know. I'm looking at it again. John Ward, very good in points tonight, 33 points above the cut line, so he can kind of just race elbows out. Not a whole lot to worry about. Only a 27 car 4-car field and a 33-point buffer for the driver of the 92. Garrett Main, strong move to the outside. He pulls in front. Now it's Jason Maines, Kenny McCullough, and David Sheets heading up the outside. John Ward with a big moment further back.
Yeah, they're staying 2x2 and a little surprising right now, but I think that's because of all the different point scenarios. Some of these guys, knowing they can afford to be more aggressive, just go for the money tonight. Other guys realize that they have got to make it to the end of this race and get a good finish. And taking a look at what the points are looking like, the guys to really keep your eye on is going to be right around Brock Westmoreland, David Sheets, Mark Vondell, and John Mullihan. Mullihan and Vondell came in just below the cut line in 17th and 18th. Brock Westmoreland and David Sheets currently sitting just above the cut line. I don't know if I'll see too much movement as of yet from John Mullihan, but you see he is on the inside trying to slowly work his way up there, and can't count out Jason Maines. He's in 14th, but if he gets too comfortable, all it takes is getting caught up in one wreck, Dawson, and you could find yourself out of this new format that we're seeing this season in the round of 16.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to play a factor here once we start the postseason. 3 wide once again. John Ward's got some drafted partners now, some dance partners, if you will. Matthew Baker up to the outside. Michael Triscaro a little bit further back, trying to get up there. Baker's got Ward going the right direction. They're to the outside of the NBG teammates there of Matt Lee, Cody Nagels as well in the 6, and so up the outside they come. Jason Maines sees it coming. Trouble.
2 in the wall hard. David Sheets, major damage, just as you talked about. One of the guys that was below the cut line and needed a good run, or just above rather. And that 06 machine is destroyed. That'll be a fast repair most definitely. And it looked like he got turned around the wrong way to bring out your first caution of the night by. It looked like maybe somebody in front of him maybe had some help, or was he the one that gets some help? Or I think it's going to actually be David himself that gets some help from somebody. So let's take a look here. Going to TV follow cam, there you see David Sheets in the 06 right in the middle behind his teammate Ken McCall Jr. And, him and John Ward. I'm thinking there's not actual contact here. We'll get a better idea when we look at the chopper cam, but certainly we're running close. And before I say anything else, I guess let's actually back this up and take a look from the chopper view to confirm the suspicion. But, John Ward and Matthew Baker hopping up there trying to make something happen. Ward knows that he's going to have to side draft pretty hard here, and yeah, it just looks to me like a little bit of that right rear net code from when two cars get really, really close. And, in all fairness here, watch John Ward maybe moves down just slightly. Doesn't really look like it. And maybe David Sheets creeps up just a little bit. But, again, not much. It's just those two cars running really close. iRacing thinks that they're making contact on the right rear of David Sheets. And that turns them around. Once they make contact, this is going to be a pretty hard hit for David Sheets into the outside wall, and then Ward kind of pushing that car. It's going to send him back down into traffic. That gets Baker out of whack. He's able to save it, but then here comes an onrushing John Mullihan with just absolutely nowhere to go. Down low, see Mark Vondell. Looks like he gets piled into by, looks like Danny Barnes in the 7. And just not much you can really do about that one as a driver, Dawson. Just hard racing.
No, just one of those unfortunate deals. How many of those have we seen this season, especially once we got on the new setup that we've been running, blistering speeds, and also you're able to handle the car a little bit easier. So, yeah, just one of those deals. And, man, it is calamity for the cut line drivers. And you talk about David Sheets, Mark Vondell was involved in that one. John Mullihan was involved in that one. So if you're a guy like Brock Westmoreland, who's above the cut line, or on the flip side, Tony Cox, Mike Davenport, Cole Fitzpatrick, who need a good run tonight, man, that's exactly what the doctor ordered for those guys. But for the three that got involved, not at all the start they wanted, especially not for Mullihan or Sheets. Big damage for those two.
Yeah, so I'm assuming, obviously, we know David Sheets is going in here. Yeah, Mark Vondell looked like he got caught up in the back end of that here. I actually want to go right on board with Mark here as he sees this thing unfold. And I think he got some help here from Danny Barnes. And again, as you were just saying, one of the drivers that was right around the cut line involved in this wreck. But he's not going to be too happy about it here because he's checking up and just kind of gets punted in there. And Danny Barnes' defense, it's a little hard to see, but two of the drivers really need a good night tonight, not with a great start here early. But, Dawson, this is one of those things where I was actually doing a race the other night here at Talladega in the Xfinity cars, and we had a wreck almost of the exact same form. And, it's kind of one of those things among the drivers where it's going to always be a disagreement because you have the side that looks at it as, well, you shouldn't be being that aggressive. You shouldn't be that close to me. And then you have the side of, well, if I'm going to make progress, I'm going to have to be that close. And it's just never really to be an agreement. And at the end of the day, it's kind of that risk versus reward. And I think it was maybe just an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, I think so too. And part of it's the necessity of the way you race super speedways now. Side drafting has become such an essential part, I think, and it has been for a long time, but even more on these new builds of these cars that we see, on these new aero packages that we've seen. Side drafting has so much more effect, even in these cars, that you basically have to do it. And we have guys in here that are very, very good at knowing exactly when and where on the car you can do it to both be effective and keep from having a crash. And just in some circumstances, you really can't avoid it. That's I think what happened right there. Nothing malicious at all by John Ward. I don't think. It's just that's the necessity of where they were up on the third line. That's exactly what you have to do to make up ground, and unfortunately the two came together and it caused a wreck.
Yeah, well, it looks like it shuffled up the field here a little bit as Cody Nagels is now going to be scored as your leader for the restart, assuming we get one to go right here. Daniel Eberhard in second. He's up 5 positions from where he started this race at. There's Mike Davenport back in third, looking good here early. Garrett Maines in the one machine back in fourth, and he's got his teammate Jason Maines just behind him in fifth. Navarro sixth, Ken McCall Jr. seventh. Kevin Freese in eighth, Matt Lee in ninth, and Dylan Jones. He's up 10 positions already from where he started, looking to see if he can capture another win here tonight. And looks like Cody's going to choose the outside. And I mean, either lane he chose, he's going to have a great pusher. But we know how aggressive Daniel Eberhard likes to be, and he's kind of due for another win here soon, Dawson. I'm thinking maybe tonight's his night.
Well, it could be. There's several guys I think they're probably due for a win, and one guy that may not be due for a win but may just get one anyways, Andrew Navarro, the winningest driver this season. He's got 3. What a way to cap off his regular season if he could get win number 4. Then you got a bunch of guys that haven't won yet. Garrett Maines, actually, ironically, is the points leader, but is yet to get a win on a Tuesday night. We saw him win on Thursday night in the Fall Brawl, so he's on some momentum. We'll see if he can get the job done tonight and get a win, but there's several guys here in this field up in the points that just haven't won. Maines, Nagels, Chris McCullough, I don't know if he's in the field tonight, Logan York, are all guys that are going to make the playoffs, but could really use a win to bolster their momentum.
And you just named all those drivers that haven't won. Well, here's the thing, Dawson. They've all been the most consistent out of everybody. And that's the other flip side of super speedway racing, is as frustrating as it can be, you don't always have to be the man to get the win to do good in points at these tracks, because there's so much happening that if you can just make it to the end of probably about 75% of these races, you'd be surprised where you end up in points. And that sounds like the case for a lot of these guys. Garrett Maines, of course, we know he has a lot of talent. So even though he hasn't got the win, a lot of top 5s, some top 3s mixed in there. And here you go. Maybe tonight he gets the big one. But looking at the stage break here, we're going to get it in about 11 laps after we restart. Again, going to be on the end of lap 20. So I think now we're going to see these guys pick up the action just a little bit until we make it to that break. Again, some extra points on the line. So maybe look for even some of the guys involved in that wreck, such as David Sheets and Mark Blondell, to still try to work their way back up here, as again, they could really use these stage points. And after that, it'll be a race on strategy. We'll talk more about that after, but got a couple onboard cameras for us here tonight. We'll take a look at all those in just a minute. But here we go. Pace car is going to pull off D3, and Cody Nagels getting ready to lead him back to green.
Yeah, and a couple of eager pushers getting ready to push them back to it, too. Garrett Maines, Mike Davenport, watch the 55 on this restart. He's got to be aggressive. Green flag is back in the air. We're back underway. Lap number 10 on the board, and the outside is rolling. Maines, the back bumper of the 6. That will push the 6 right out to the race lead. Look at them lined up 5 deep on the outside, bumper to bumper already here into 3. Or, excuse me, into 1. Bottom line will surge. Here comes Eberhard and Davenport, but they are not connected. Now that top line will roll. Garrett Maines, look at how hard he's pushing here off turn number 2, the 1 car. Up and on it. Nagels gets down immediately. Garrett Maines will go to the lead on the super stretch.
Yeah, and Cody Nagels may have just been the saving grace for that inside line. They had no surges coming, and Eberhard was fading in a hurry, but when he jumped down, that helped a little bit, but not much, because Navarro still doing a lot of pushing. He's going to dump off Garrett Maines. Looked like Garrett maybe wasn't quite ready to drop down. Navarro said, "I think you are." Kind of makes him go down there, and now the 44 is going to go back to the lead off of turn number 4. Garrett still on the bottom, and Daniel Eberhard already back 4 positions off that restart. Shows you just how important it is to get a good push that first lap, because that's where we see the most momentum change.
Absolutely. Andrew Navarro, man, you just cannot say enough about the season that he has had. Came into tonight 4 points off the points lead. Like we said, he has the 3 wins, including a back-to-back a few weeks ago. What a season it's been for him, and you can just tell he's hit some kind of stretch here where he has some serious momentum. I don't know what's gotten into him over the course of this Tuesday night season, but he's just been a different animal in Tuesday Night Thunder. We're used to him running up front, but not to this degree. I'm sure it's partly because of the Xfinity car. We know he's comfortable. We know he enjoys it. He has said that on multiple occasions, but man, he just looks like a whole different beast in this car, and now he goes right back to lead. He's got a heck of a pusher on his back bumper. How about Kevin Freese in the 25 making an appearance tonight? He would love to spoil the party as some of the guys up here go to victory lane.
And I think what makes it even more impressive is that he doesn't have any teammates when he does it, at least not that we know of. Andrew Navarro usually works by himself, but he makes sure he does a good job of not making any enemies. And ultimately, if you find yourself in good position at the end of these races, there's a chance that you can find someone that's willing to work with you if they know that you're a good pusher, or someone that's easy to push. And here we go, looking back at our first driver cam of the night. It's going to be Michael Triscaro in the 34, having a pretty good run so far this season. But again, another driver looking for that first win in Tuesday Night Thunder. And I know somebody noted this before. I don't know if it was you, Dawson, but he's got kind of an interesting driving style for these super speedways. Almost a Dale Jr. approach, where you see in the corners he puts that right hand over to the left side to help the steering wheel. And Michael Triscaro currently sitting about 4th or 5th on that outside line. The driver out of Chagrin Falls, Ohio. We'll see what he can do here. Stage break coming up in just about 8 laps from now.
Third line's coming. Kenny McCullough, John Ward, Danny Barnes, Richard Elliott, a trio of Hyper Motorsports machines pushing on the back of Kenny McCullough in the 03s. Once again, the all-black Toyota Supra tonight, which you heard him talk about a few weeks ago. He accidentally picked it and just has gone back to it. It's given him some momentum and gave him a victory, and now the third line's really starting to work. They have made their way all the way up, almost 4 wide further back. Not sure what's going on to Danny Barnes. He's in the outside wall. Oh, boy, 4 wide in turn 3. And trouble. Around goes Richard 02.
And he's going to spin back down. Looks like Tony Cox will make some contact. Nothing too big. And I think Danny Barnes will get the worst of this one as they both continue on. But I'm going to take that back. Richard Elliott has smoke out the back. So this is going to be that one fastest pair now for the 02. As your second caution of the night comes out with 13 of 60 laps now complete. And so let's go back and take a look. You talked about the disorganization that started with a little bit of trouble here. Let's back this up all the way to where it starts as Danny Barnes gets into the outside wall. So this actually starts all the way down the back straightaway here. And so we'll, as per usual here, take a look at the chopper cam. Watch this kind of develop. So there's the 7 of Danny Barnes. Look at the third car on that third lane, the bright black and yellow 7 machine. And he gets a run and he kind of goes to the outside. Yeah, there you go. Bounces off the wall and goes to the outside again. Maybe bounces off the wall again. And then as soon as they get 4 wide, it just doesn't work at all. They quickly make some contact. Richard Elliott gets a little loose trying to split the gap, and Danny Barnes get together. The rest is history. But tell you what, Dawson, that was a really, really odd look for the 7. I'm wondering if he was maybe trying to set something else up. On initial look, you'd almost think he was trying to take it 4 wide, but then you saw him bounce off the wall, and makes me think that wasn't the case. So let's take a ride on board here with Danny Barnes. You see he's got the wheel turned, and I'm just not really sure. I'm not really sure on that one. That's a tough one for me to call on what was going on, but boy, that was a big hit for Richard Elliott as you saw almost all 4 tires get off the ground as he climbed the safer barrier. And then Mark Londell, Christopher McCall behind were able to sneak through without any further incident.
I'm not sure. I've watched a few different angles, and I can't find anything that like I thought maybe on second glance it almost looked like perhaps he was trying to get out of the way, maybe expired the engine, but it certainly sounds like he's still under power when he gets into the outside wall. So not sure what the issue is there, but some kind of major issue for the 7, and that's unfortunate between teammates right there.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Tony Cox, we talked about in this one, he's trying to go low. You see him right there in the 72. He dives low. He's going to miss it initially, but then as Richard Elliott starts spinning back down, he's got to make another beeline. Just slight contact. I think the 72 should be okay. Nonetheless, as we go back live here, actually, we'll take a look at Richard Elliott, and it looks like he has gotten all that damage repaired, implying that fast repair was used. So he'll be good to go back to fighting for the lead. Meanwhile, up front, Andrew Navarro currently being scored as your leader. Garrett Maines in second. Kevin Freese back in third. Ken McCall Jr. in fourth. Cody Nagels fifth. Dylan Jones sixth. Michael Triscaro seventh. Daniel Eberhardt eighth. Steve Korsak ninth. And Logan York breaking into the top 10. Real quick, a look at a couple of our other drivers with an onboard cam for us here tonight. Start first here with Matthew Baker. We can pull him up here. And it looks like we cannot for whatever reason right now. So we'll go ahead and move on back to one of our other drivers with an onboard camera for us here tonight. The man actually involved in that last one, which was Tony Cox in the 72 machine. And you see, again, don't think he would have had to waste a fast spare on that. If anything, maybe just a little bit of optional. I think he's okay. And lastly, Jeff Merck looking to turn his luck around a little bit here tonight. Currently sits in that 15th spot. And he is our last driver with an onboard camera for us here tonight for NBG Motorsports. But Dawson, this restart here, I think when we do get it back started, it'll be set up where if we have another caution, then that will end the stage under caution.
Yeah, and it actually is going to make the strategy even more interesting. I think if the stage doesn't end at the conclusion of lap 20, so let's see how racy these guys get here in the last 4 laps when we go back green of the stage. Got to imagine that third line was starting to come forward when all that happened. They actually were making quite a bit of ground, and all of a sudden it gets stopped in his tracks, but they're going to have another opportunity right here. John Ward, his teammates were with him, Kenny McCullough as well. You see guys getting more and more inclined as we get closer to the stage. The racing going to continue to amp up, especially with those guys down around the cut line as we get closer to the end of the stage, and then obviously the end of the race.
And so Matthew Baker sitting back a little bit uncharacteristic, if you will, for the driver of the 5 machine. But I mean, you take a look at the general points battle, and you knew Matthew Baker was going to be strong coming into the season, and here we are towards the end of the season, well, the last race, rather, in the regular season, and no surprise that he finds himself looking good in points. So tonight should just be kind of just go for it for him. And then you look at a guy like Steve Korsek, and wasn't here the last couple weeks. Not sure if Steve was either, but doesn't look to be a man really competing so much for points. So he's just out here trying to help who he can and maybe see if he can win some of the nightly payout that we have here tonight.
Yeah, and as always, a pretty good nightly payout for a weekly league format like this. It's actually a pretty nice payout. So, even for the guys like, Freeze and Korosik and others that aren't going to be in the postseason, still an incentive to keep coming out, keep racing. Besides helping teammates, it's also payouts. I mean, those are still a very, very big part of these Tuesday night races.
Yeah, they certainly are. So as we got the one-to-go signal last time, getting ready to go back green, I want to shout out, I guess, if you will, everybody tuning in here tonight. Been off the last couple days, so kind of breaking back into it. But Dawson, appreciate you taking over the last couple of weeks and been just as good as always. And then don't forget that on Thursday, PGR, the Thursday Night Heat Series, returns, and it's a little bit back to the basic format after we had the Fall Brawl and the thriller of a finish last week. Now it's going to be back to the $16 entry. Hoping to get a lot of them, and it should be a fun one on Thursday. Of course, we had Dawson in the booth last Thursday, and then tomorrow night I will actually be making an appearance over on Noma TV for some I believe it's SCRA, if I'm saying it right. They've got their league race, so make sure you check it out tomorrow. But before we get to any of that, we got business to attend to here tonight. So the pace car will make the left turn back onto the pits. Andrew Navarro chose the bottom. Garrett Maines up top. You got Freeze and Ken McCall Jr. as the 2 lead pushers. We will see how long it takes for that third lane to get going, as it's going to be 4 laps to go until the end of the stage. Green flag is back in the air at Talladega. It's going to be a better start for the inside, but it looks like that outside will get organized more quickly. Dylan Jones already to the back bumper of Ken McCall Jr. That'll get him right up to the back bumper now of Garrett Maines. Kevin Freeze is going to lock up with Andrew Navarro. No help further back. We got some trouble. Looks like Jared Mogard trying to save it. I think he did. Yeah, the 00 did. Further back just behind him, the 27 of Justin Mills with a close call, 2-3 wide behind him now. Jason Maines, Danny Barnes, and Christopher McCall, but they all hold on to it. So we will stay green. Will they be able to hold on to the pack? But as they rock it down the back straightaway, here comes Daniel Everhart and Dylan Jones in the third lane.
They've got a cavalry coming as well. Logan York, Matthew Baker have decided they want to take things upstairs as well. Now they're thinking differently, hanging between lanes. They can't make a decision. York's going to stay up. Baker, I don't think he wants to. Now York thinks better of it, drops back in. Here comes Cole Fitzpatrick. He's going to join the parade. Up on the outside, up against the safer barrier. Here comes Dylan Jones. Everhart's really working hard. Just not a lot he can do. 3 laps to go in stage number 1. Now Jones makes some more hay. How about Kenny McCullough? Turns left down below Garrett Maines. He wants the race lead. He waits for help from Andrew Navarro. That'll leave Nagels and Maines in the center. And Michael Triscaro's poked his way through the pack. Almost contact between Jones and Nagels. Onto the super stretch. Here come the 11 and the 90 up in the outside.
Yeah, Logan York jumped back up to the top. You can tell they are getting really, really aggressive. Dylan Jones on the top, trying to get clear of Garrett Maines. He won't be able to do so, and all this cycling has allowed for a little bit of a difference in lanes for temperature, and I think right now that third lane is going to have the worst temps of everybody as they had to push to get up there, and now you see him starting to fade a little bit. This will open the door up for Cody Nagels. We'll see if he takes... Oh, Ken McCall Jr. gets turned down to the inside wall. Did he save it? He did not. I think he may have. Ken McCall Jr. is going to roll it down the pits. We saw him slide, and I see some damage to the left side door, or the right side door. We'll go back and take a look at that here at the end of the stage. Meanwhile, up front, now they're going to wreck. Big hit. Jeff Merck hard into the outside wall. Caution is out, and this will end the stage as that is a huge hit for Jeff Merck. Man, oh man. Well, Dawson, I'll tell you what. Jeff Merck is missing his entire right front wheel. Oh, actually, is he missing both? I mean, my goodness. What a hit for Jeff Merck. Yeah, he's got no right front tire. So you can see that was an immediate tow. I mean, he flew over multiple rows of cars. We'll go back, take a look at that in a minute. But let's start here with the incident just before the yellow flag actually flew here involving Ken McCall Jr. There you see the accident for Jeff Merck. But, it looked to me like Ken got turned out of line, so I'm sure he's not going to be too happy. But let's break this down. So here we go, coming off of 4. Andrew Navarro, the lead pusher on the back of the 03. And if we go to the chopper view, Navarro trying to push him here. He's getting a little offset to the right, and as they get off of 4, looks like he gets him back to straight, but you see the 44 and the 03 get a little offset again to the left, and Navarro's still pushing, so that turns Ken McCall Jr. And then watch this. Locks it up and does make some pretty good contact with the right side. Better than the front or rear, but I mean, nonetheless, I think that was just kind of an example of Andrew Navarro doing everything he can, and they just slightly got offset. I'm not sure if Ken got offset from the push or if Andrew just got offset to the inside, but nonetheless, let's go back and take a look at the big one here involving Jeff Merck and company and see exactly how this thing starts. So here we go. Jeff Merck in the 60 machine is the man in the middle at the end of the 3 wide there. See the 60 car, and I think it's going to maybe happen in front of him. No. You see Jeff Merck coming down a little bit, and then I'm not sure if there's some net cut off that or he actually makes contact. So then he goes back up the track, and the 9, Cole Fitzpatrick, is already there. They make contact. That turns Jeff Merck hard into the outside wall, and then from there it's on. John Ward was trying to save it, but looks like he's going to spin out and ultimately spin down the track. Don't think he makes any contact with anything else, and then, Justin Mills nowhere to go, is committed to the inside, and that is where Jeff Merck also ended up.
A wild ride. One of the wilder rides I've seen in a while. He actually bounces off the top of John. I think this is why John Ward spins. Merck bounces off the roof of the 92, and as a result, the 92, I mean, John Ward, that spooks him. He slides. Somehow, some guys get out of this. I mean, this is a scramble as Merck is up in the air for an extended period of time, and you said an immediate tow, and that, for a guy that was 10 points above the cut line, not at all what he needed here right at the stage break.
No, and it seems like it's been that kind of season for Jeff. No matter how hard he's fought, it keeps getting knocked down by something, and in this case, it's going to cost him some more track position. He'll have to make it back up, but we'll definitely see him back at the front. But here's another look at that hit. Boom! Just gets launched into the air, and as you noted, that's a weird one. Yeah, lands on the roof of John Ward. That actually makes John Ward's car do a wheelie, which gets him quickly out of control. I haven't quite seen something like that before, and then Jared Mogard takes the top, waits for the 60 to slide down, does a pretty good job of wreck avoidance there. And we'll take one more look at this one from the wall cam for Jeff Merck, but my goodness. Well, we had quite a few cautions through the first stage, make it 3 within the first 20 laps. Jeff Merck still in the pits as he has not been able to repair that damage just yet. And so actually here, let's go take a look at exactly when this caution flies so that we can hopefully get an idea of who is the stage winner. So here's what we'll do. We'll go back to the flag stand and take an exact moment because, Dawson, I'm not sure if you caught it, but we know that it's, in this case, it's going to be as soon as the caution comes out. These guys don't do anything where they race it back or anything of the sort. So looking for the flagman to wave it. There it is. And so if we go back up to the front at the time of caution, it looks like Garrett Maines was clearly out in front. Second, I believe, was Andrew Navarro. Looks like Cody Nagels in third, Dylan Jones fourth, and I believe Kevin Fries or Daniel Eberhardt were rounding out your top 5.
So stage points for guys that necessarily don't need them tonight. Obviously, for a guy like Merck that's now sitting in the pits, that's he can take a little bit of a breath of relief there. That nobody below him in the cut got any stage points right there. And for guys like Mike Davenport, same thing. Guys above them didn't get any stage points. You can continue to go to work. The work that's put out for you, and now you got 40 laps to go get the job done.
Well, I was watching before we had that caution that ended our stage. Jason Maines was a lot further back than you would expect him to be trying to run here tonight, especially with his point scenario. We talked about it. He's looking okay right now, about 3 positions above the cut line, but he's still not quite out of harm's way. He needs to be really careful here as he finds himself currently back outside of the top 15. And the further back you go, Dawson, it seems like you're kind of in more of a danger zone for getting in a wreck as you try to work your way back up through the field. But up front for the restart here, it is going to be Garrett Maines and Dylan Jones. Just behind them, the 5, Matthew Baker and his teammate Cody Nagels. And John Mullahan talked about he needs a good night to try to get in off of points. Currently outside looking in, and here he is up to 3rd on the outside, and I think the 2 will stay patient. And I want to take a moment actually to make a quick side note. We've been around for a while, Dawson, and I feel like John Mullahan used to get himself a little bit of a bad rep for being really aggressive, but man, all of a sudden it seems like when he had came over to McCall Motorsports, things just changed. I mean, of course everybody makes mistakes now and then, but overall as a driver, Mullahan has picked it up. He's been a lot cleaner, been a lot more conservative, and he's made a lot of friends on the track, and the talent level is showing here tonight.
Oh, it's going to help him a lot, too. He's in a really great spot right here with just over half the race to go, needing a good run. He is in prime position to make his way into a postseason spot. And what a season it would be for him if he could find his way to the playoffs right here.
All right, so looks like it's going to be just under 40 laps to go now. Fuel's a little bit interesting. We've seen that in previous weeks, so I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But as they work their way back into the Geico restart zone, green flag is in the air. Stage 2 is underway at Talladega.
Good push by both lines. Top line more organized here behind Garrett Maines. Nagels, Mullahan, Freeze, Eberhardt, all connected already. Bottom line is really anchored here by Dylan Jones and Matthew Baker. They've got Steve Karosik in tow as well. They're actually going to surge quite a bit here on the exit of turn number 2. Now the top will surge one more time out of the Alabama Gang super stretch. Here comes Garrett Maines. He's got Cody Nagels behind him, but the bottom line sticking around in a big way. Matthew Baker is keeping Dylan Jones out front all the way up into turn number 3.
Yeah, if that inside line is able to hold even that first lap, that's the biggest time that you got to make it happen, because that outside line isn't going to be able to generate the momentum quite as quickly after that. And there you go. Dylan Jones was able to get back clear through turns 3 and 4, so he'll jump up. You saw the checkup, though, that it created in the outside. Got to be careful with those later in the race. Nonetheless, Dylan will now drop back down to the bottom, gave Matthew Baker a chance to cool off just a little bit, and now that'll give the outside a surge as Garrett Maines goes to the lead. Will he drop low? He does. Cody Nagel's going to take the lead, and guess who now is in prime position to push? It's John Mullahan in the 2, looking for some teammates, and he'll have to look all the way back to Christopher McCall, just about 3 rows behind him.
8 points out. John Mullahan was coming into the night's race. The guys in front of him, Mark Vondell, David Sheets, Brock Westmoreland, not having the best of runs as they run on the racetrack right now. So a prime opportunity here for John Mullahan if he can continue to gain spots. Third line is working. Daniel Eberhardt threw a massive block on Chris McCullough to lead that outside line. Logan York dives back in line. So does Andrew Navarro. Well, they're thinking about it now. They're thinking about it more. Here comes D3. The 90s on a roll up here on the outside.
And he's rolling with a good pusher, and Christopher McCall, Logan York again trying to find himself a way to get up in the top 3. We know he can control lanes if he gets up there, but just hasn't been able to do so yet. Further back, David Sheets seeing this, and it looks like he's going the opposite way, doesn't like what he sees. Remember, he already used a fast pair tonight, so he'll go ahead and back off, calm down for a little bit. But up front, we still have 3x3, and Dawson looking at it. I know pre-race we said 100% fuel, but these guys actually only get 45% fuel, so looking at that, they can probably only go right around 18 laps if I had to guess. So they're not able to make it all the way. In fact, maybe expect pit stops anywhere from right around lap 35 to maybe lap 40 in order, make it probably right around lap 35 to, we'll call it 42. Just depending on how far they can make it. They can make it to about lap 40. Actually, I think they're going to have to make it all the way to lap 40 to make it in one stop, or at least have a chance. But man, that was a close call coming across the start-finish line. Christopher McCall had to go out 4 wide to not cause an accident right there, but going to be more contact here down in the turn between Logan York and John Mullahan. These guys are a mess right now.
Oh, hard pushing in the middle right here. A lot of side drafting. 3 lanes worth of cars in about 2 lanes of space as Nagels, Eberhardt, York, Mullahan were all making contact there in the middle of the corner. Somehow, some way, it all comes out okay. Main's up to the middle in front of Dylan Jones, trying to keep Eberhardt up top. They're trying to keep that top line blocked. Here comes Baker. He's got a real chance to cool now, and he's got a heck of a pusher on his back bumper. Steve Karosik, haven't called his name tonight. He has made his way to the front. 3 cars on the bottom. It's Baker, Karosik, and Matt Lee. Oh my goodness, trouble. Around goes Baker right in front of the field.
That was a hard hit for Matthew Baker, and this will be another one. And Baker will slide down. Oh no, Jason Maines is in this. That's one of your playoff drivers. Jeff Merck spun around as well. So is the 11 of Dylan Jones. And so they'll all be able to roll away from the accident scene this time, but let's go back and take a look at exactly where this one goes wrong. Here we go, coming through the tri-oval. And just, Baker, the innocent victim in this one here is Dylan Jones gets turned around. And so this is another odd one. So here we go, coming off of 4, you see Garrett Maines in the middle. Dylan Jones gets Garrett out of shape, so Dylan has to check up. Cody makes slight contact with Dylan. That gets Dylan up the track. I think him and Logan either make some slight contact or a little bit of neck code, and then that turns Dylan back down the track, and Matthew Baker was just along for the ride, got turned blindsided, if you will. Takes his hard shot. Actually, Navarro kind of softens the impact, not so much. And then Jason Maines piling in with nowhere to go. T-bones him. Christopher McCall as well. And then looking for Jeff Merck in the 60. There he is. Going to choose the outside here. He's hard on the brakes, trying everything to miss this. And looks like he's going to be able to get by Jason Maines. Now he sees Baker coming down, so he's going to spin. And I don't think Jeff made any contact. I think he just goes for a couple loop-de-loops. But that one collects, again, a lot of your heavy hitters. And not really anything anybody's doing wrong. Just kind of another racing incident, Dawson. And it's rare that we see a push get Garrett Maines out of shape like that one did. But that's what caused the checkup and ultimately led to the accident.
Well, it's been more common in these cars. A bumper hook is what we like to call it, and that's exactly what happened with Garrett Maines and Dylan Jones. Again, nothing malicious. It's just so sensitive in these cars, and a heck of a save by Garrett Maines. That's actually what I was going to call out before they wrecked, and a couple of incredible saves there. Maines in the front of the field. Cody Nagels, by the way, somehow gets away from that. I don't even think he hit the wall. He was about 45 degrees left, pulls that car out of a spin, and manages to keep going. So a couple of impressive efforts at the front of the field to stay out of what was a big mess behind the leaders.
Certainly was, and this one definitely didn't collect quite as many as it looked like initially was. Probably going to get about 4 or 5 in total, and seeing Baker taking off the stuff, so you got to wonder, hopefully that doesn't put his night to an end, maybe just taking a quick little break, but going back and taking just a couple more looks at this one here. Go to TV6, and Andrew Navarro getting hooked right there. That's a tough break as the 44 was just about to get through it. Mullahan and Nagels do make some contact, but I think they're both going to be able to get through this one. Yeah, sure enough, they are. Good job by both of those drivers. And then Christopher McCall made contact with Jason Maines and then Matthew Baker. And so that'll bring out the 4th caution here of the night. Up front, Garrett Maines still being scored as your leader after that amazing save, in which they all wrecked out back. Steve Korsak in 2nd, Matt Lee back in 3rd, Kevin Fries in 4th, John Mullahan in 5th, Cody Nagels in 6th with Ken McCall Jr. in 7th, Cole Fitzpatrick in 8th, Daniel Eberhardt in 9th, actually moving back to 10th as Danny Barnes will take 9th, and right now Daniel Eberhardt being scored as the last man inside your top 10, and looks like Baker is still in the pits towing for now, and looks like he's used the fast pair, so he's just going to have to beat the pace car out, and he should be good to go. Jeff Merck as well, but looking at the fuel window, Dawson, everybody that topped off, or if you decide to come in and top off again right here, let's see, that'll put them probably right about just probably 4 laps short of making it to lap 40, or 50 rather, I think. And so there'll still be one more stop, but I think now it's going to be a solid one stop instead of maybe a little bit of a close call and a little bit of fuel mileage.
Yeah, it's a definite one stop now here based on the numbers that we've got. So only one pit stop looming, but you begin to wonder if we're going to get to that point. I mean, I'm not sure with as racy as they are, if these guys are even focused on pit stops at this point. They sure are not racing like there's still a pit stop to be made. We'll see if they change it here now that several guys have used fast repairs. We've had a couple of very large wrecks, very violent wrecks that have caused tows and fast repairs to be used. So we'll have to wait and see. But the way they're racing right now, I don't know if I can expect to get to that pit stop.
Yeah, and we're technically not even halfway through this race just yet, but it's been a good one so far for the racing that we've got. And again, appreciate everybody that has tuned in or currently is tuning in. Forgot to read a couple of the comments earlier. Baker's mom says, hi, guys. Good to see you out here. Baker's mom, J.R. Miller as well. Says, hey, Austin and Dawson. Good to see you out here, J.R. Shirley, good to see you. Kevin, hope you all are having a good Tuesday night as we approach 11 p.m. Eastern. And with the lights off on the pace car, getting ready to go back green, Matt Lee now breaks his way into the top 4. He's going to be the lead pusher on the back bumper of Steve Korsek. Now, we know how good Steve is at leading and pushing. Doesn't really have any teammates tonight. Might have a couple alliances going on, but I think Matt Lee and the 27 are going to stay locked up on the bottom here for a little bit. So it's going to be all about what can Garrett Maines and Kevin Freese do to get around those two. And will we see Cody Nagels maybe think about taking it 3 wide? He would have the 9 of Cole Fitzpatrick just behind. Cole having a good night so far. And then you can't count out David Sheets. Got in a wreck pretty much right off the start of the race. And now he finds himself back inside the top 10. But I think he's going to probably, I would say he needs a top 5 finish if he wants to be safe, Dawson. But definitely going to have to stay in top 10, I feel like, to have a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Track position is king here in these races. How many times have we seen a guy that's up front all race just go to victory lane, have a good result? If you get logged back, it's so tough to get back to the front. So track position being as key as it is, yep, you got to keep it when you get it.
All right. Pace car going to head back onto the pits for the 4th time here tonight. Getting ready to go back green. Steve Korsek on the inside. Garrett Maines on the outside. Matt Lee going to give a big push right here to the 28. As soon as they drop the green, he's going to have to hope it's enough to hold him side by side with Garrett Maines down the back straightaway. There we go. Green flag is in the air. A little bit of a stack up for both lines there. Ken McCall Jr. has to get on the brakes just a little bit, and they will stay side by side, but Garrett Maines was able to get enough of an edge. He'll have a chance to drop down here to turn 1 if he wants to. Doesn't look like he'll take it. Going to stay up top as it'll continue to roll here. Now Steve Korsek will start to surge again on the bottom with help from Matt Lee. John Mullihan, Cody Nagels close, and then there's a little separation between the 4th place cars.
David Sheets, we had mentioned him, he's 5th in line. Brock Westmoreland has come to 6th in line. He's a guy that's 2 points above the cut line, as well as Cole Fitzpatrick, a guy that's 32 points out, but he could win his way in tonight. He is coming to the front as well. Some of the guys right down around the cut line. Mullihan, Sheets, Fitzpatrick, Westmoreland, all inside the top 10 with 30 laps to go. What a great position for those guys to be in. And if you're one of the guys further back, like Jeff Merck, like a Mike Davenport, like a Mark Vondell, you got to see this and you got to recognize it's time to go and try to match play these guys, because look at how hard the 9 is running right now. Cole Fitzpatrick, he wants to be up front.
Yeah, and as much as you would think it's go time, looks like some of these guys have decided maybe it's not go time. Actually sitting a little bit back now as we have a separation. Looks like 3 separate packs right now, and it looks like that second pack is going to be able to catch up, but that third pack may be in danger of losing this lead draft, and that's going to be a pretty big deal later in this race if we don't get a caution. And so right now up front, everybody will stay 2 by 2. Just as I say it, John Ward, he'll jump to the outside. Looked like Jeff Merck thought about following him for just a minute. And Jeff Merck will quickly think better of it as he will drop back down to the inside, make it the outside lane. So does John Ward. And they'll rethink their decision, but definitely tell you got a couple guys that want to do it, and now they're going to make another lunge at it.
Yeah, they're going to attempt it. I don't know how far they'll be able to get with only 2 cars. We've seen this attempted already tonight. We'll see how far they can get. They're up to about David Sheets, and right here you'll see the run start to fade. David Sheets actually, I think, thought about maybe taking it in front of John Ward right there. Doesn't have an opportunity to quite yet. He will here off the end of the back straightaway, but going to stay down for now, the 0-6. He thought about it, though. Just with 2 cars, yep, they're starting to fade, are the 92 and the 60. So they're going to have to try to find a couple more dance partners if they want to make the move to the front. With the way this front pack is running, how hard they're pushing, it's going to be even harder to get any kind of energy rolling up against the outside wall.
And didn't realize it initially, but Jeff Merck's actually not currently on the lead lap, so he's okay with trying to get back to the front if he can get his lap back the hard way, and try to find out if he was 1 or 2 laps down. But he's going to fight a couple of these guys for the lucky dog position, including right now, I believe, his teammate in Matthew Baker. And right now Matthew Baker looks to be at the back of this second pack, which was 3 packs. Looks like it's down to 2, and then I think it's going to be down to 1, as I think everybody back here has the draft, and we'll catch up. Mark Vondell, Matthew Baker, that would be the right time to go to the front, as if Matthew Baker tries to go, Mark Vondell could maybe make some progress as well, but he'll stay back playing it conservative. So You got Justin Mills being scored a lap down along with Andrew Navarro and Christopher McCall, as looks like Matthew Baker actually got back on the lead lap. And so Jeff Merck being scored 2 laps down. That would explain why he's trying so hard to get back on the lead lap. But, a lot of pushing. Cole Fitzpatrick got to be careful doing that. That knocks Cody Nagels out of the groove. He somehow saves it. But, man, you cannot push the pusher. And I don't know how Cody was able to save that one.
I don't either, and you can get away with it a little bit, not as much in these cars as we do see in the Craftsman trucks, but you still can, if you can square up, you can get away with it just a little bit, almost like tap drafting, if you will, on the second car in line. But right there, I was a little bit too much out of the 9. He knows that now, he's realized that now, and he can kind of adjust and go back to maybe what works a little bit, which is just that arrow push, get right up on the back bumper, like you see John Mullahan doing right now on Steve Karosik. That's why that bottom line is rolling so well. Maines and Karosik may both get clear into 3 right here, not quite. Freeze pushed by Matt Lee, who got up to the outside. Now Maines will get up. Here comes Jeff Merck and John Warden, D3 up on the outside.
Well, you said Cole Fitzpatrick knows it now. I'm thinking Cody might have hopped on Race Chat and made sure that he knew about it now, but the 3 wide and the aggression, rather, from Jeff Merck, still a little bit surprising to me, but I mean, you figure with less than 30 laps to go, about to be 25 to go in this race, he's got to get aggressive. He's going to have to get at least one of those laps back, because you never know if we'll get another caution, and he looks like he's a little bit loose with some of the moves he's been making, but still charging towards the front. And Garrett Maines, I don't know how hard he'll fight this 60, as doesn't really have much to gain, but Jeff Merck certainly going to fight hard for it as he gets a big side draft down the backstretch, along with a huge push from John Ward and the 60, looking to see if he can get clear of the 1. He's going to do it. Jeff Merck will drop down a lane, and now he puts himself 1 lap down, and right now he is hoping they all pile up behind him.
Garrett Maines, you wondered how hard he would fight him. This is how hard he'll fight him. Turns left, goes to the bottom in front of Karosik. Now Freeze will push Jeff Merck. Ward and D3 up on the outside. Logan York trying to come to their aid. 0-2 moving his way forward. They're making some headway. John Ward to the race lead here at the line. Look at how hard Jeff Merck is running these guys. He is really hoping for a caution. It's just going to come down to when it comes out. Here comes the cavalry. Logan York has made it up there to those 3 cars. Now Fitzpatrick is up there as well. Energy going to start to come back to the 3rd lane. Don't look now. Andrew Navarro's found himself a gap. He's starting to come forward as well in the 44 further back.
John Mullahan still hanging strong here in the top 4, second on the inside. Pushing Steve Korsak. John Ward was fading. He's got a push now from Daniel Everhart, but it's going to take probably half a lap to a lap to really get that momentum going again before this outside to make some progress. And talked about pit stops. Going to be expecting them here. These guys still got some time. I think the goal is maybe to go in right as the window opens or just a little bit after. So probably about 10 laps from now is when I think maybe we start seeing them. Maybe just a little bit sooner, but they're going to be coming up on some lap traffic here, and going to have to be real careful here as they will have to split 4 wide. And in fact, the lapper that they're going by is going to be Christopher McCall, and doesn't look like he's going to drop low. So we'll see if they stay 3 wide or get back to 2x2 to get around him.
I think they're trying to go back to 2x2 right here. I thought they were. John Ward still hanging up against the outside wall, but there's just not really much up there anymore now. His partners have jumped ship. He's actually going to try to pick up the 04 here. Keep him with the pack of the 94, but not quite going to work. That's not sure what John Ward's going for right there. He lost a lot of track position. Now all of a sudden is all the way at the tail end of the pack. Up front, Maines working lanes. Karosik back to the bottom. Merck thinking about 3 wide. Maines says no, and slams the door right back in his face. That allows Karosik to surge to the lead in the trial. And you talked about John Mullahan. Look at where he's at now. Position number 4, going to be 5th here at the line. Great positioning here for the 2-car.
And Garrett Maines is actually doing a phenomenal job right now up front controlling lanes. Further back, though, going to see some 3 wide here. I think they tried it, but when Everhart went up to maybe block it and try to go with the run, I think they all kind of bailed out of it. And so now they'll get quickly back to 2x2. Brock Westmoreland up the middle. So now Cody Nagels will have to stay 3 wide. Logan York trying to give a big push to that 6 machine. Everhart tries to go up. Now he's going to find himself almost 4 wide. He'll quickly drop back down to 3. Cole Fitzpatrick rolling up top 2. But tell you what, Daniel Everhart, he looks like he wants to go, but unfortunately gets himself boxed in. And now he's going to have to wait for this run to either fade or hop in the back of the line.
Run so far is not fading. In fact, Nagels is starting to work his way forward here in the 6th. Does anybody jump out in front of him? Not yet. He's up to Kevin Freese. Now Jeff Merck would be the only man to jump out in front of him. He does not. Cody Nagels, in a big way, is coming to the front. The 6 car still has that damage from the last incident, but Logan York doing a fantastic job of getting him forward. We're going to be 3x3 once again down the Alabama Gang super stretch. Nagels will poke the nose out front here for just a moment as the 0-2 and the 9 of Cole Fitzpatrick doing an incredible job so far of getting him up to the top, 3 wide and 3.
And if Cody gets clear, I think you'll see him drop all the way to the bottom so he can try to hold Garrett Maines down there and let Jeff Merck surge in the middle of his teammate, hopefully get a lap back. But Garrett's still controlling lanes up front, doing a phenomenal job. And further back, you got a couple of these guys that are really boxed in that would like to go further forward. David Sheets, he's not in too bad of a position. Actually, I think he's okay, but Mark Vondell, another guy who really needed to have a good night tonight, all the way towards the back. You wonder what happened. He finds himself actually trapped in this second pack, which has reformed. Looks like it is currently being led by Jason Maines and Mike Davenport. Jason Maines, that's another driver that needed a pretty good night here tonight. He looks safe, but now that he's back to 19th, Dawson, it makes you wonder a little bit.
Maybe a little, although I do think he's in by virtue of the victory, but I'm not positive on that. So like you said, probably not safe. Jeff Merck to the outside again, the 60 up in front of his teammate in the 6. Now with fresh temps up top in Cody Nagels, they're going to really roll here off turn number 4 as Freese, Mullahan have not been able to cool off here this entire run for the most part. How much can they do up on the outside? They need Logan York to be a little bit closer, I think, before they really make some headway. Maines will get clear to the bottom. Does he go down to let Kevin Freese cool off? We're going to find out. Nope, hanging. Now he drops down. Can Merck get to the middle here?
He might. We'll see if he takes it. He's hesitating. Oh, and he doesn't. Now there's some contact between Freese. Oh, Merck's down. Contact. He's going to get spun out. Jeff Merck going for a slide. Does he keep it out of the outside wall? Looking for the 60. Oh, he doesn't. Jeff Merck has got more heavy damage. The left front's destroyed, and unfortunately, this is going to end Jeff Merck's night, and man. Well, we'll go back and take a look. Caution comes out with 20 to go here, but you know that started a little bit further back. Looked like Merck was just hesitating a little bit, and not sure if that hesitation translates all the way over here to add a 2 or if it's something different. So here you go. Back this up even further. So they go into turn 1, and Jeff Merck's clear. Barely doesn't take it. Thinks about it. Goes back up, and oh, man, that was kind of weird. He almost got a surge from behind right there. And so watch this. So as Merck makes this little bit of a hesitation, Cody checks up, I think, just ever so slightly. Fitzpatrick and Logan York get together. That gives a big surge to the 6, which gets him back into Jeff Merck. Also gets him into Kevin Freese, and that ultimately turns Jeff Merck down the track into Kevin Freese. And once he gets into Kevin, it's on from there. The 60s goes for a slide. John Mullahan makes contact with the left front, and then Matt Lee, Daniel Eberhardt, nowhere to go. I think Sheets, David Sheets, you saw him there on the bottom. He's actually going to sneak by this, and then here comes an onrushing Danny Barnes. Slams into the left front again for Jeff Merck, and then I think he's going to get tagged maybe one more time here. No, looks like that was it, but the damage was already done. Everybody else trying to miss it. Kevin, he's got some pretty good damage as he runs over the front bumper from someone's car. And, you know, I know a lot of guys get mad when lappers are up there racing with the pack, Dawson, but that really wasn't on Jeff. I mean, that well, you know, I'm going to call it this. It starts with a little bit, just a small mistake by Jeff, but, you know, ultimately he's fine. He's able to keep it back up there. Cody checks up for him, but then it actually starts a little bit further back. Logan York, Cole Fitzpatrick, maybe not quite able to check up in time. They push Cody, which pushes him into Merck, and then ultimately leads to this spin.
The biggest thing you could say about what Jeff Merck was doing right there is that he had the space there in front of Kevin Freese's nose. I thought for sure, at least from my vantage point, that he was clear. Going into turn number 1, just hesitated, which is odd. We're not used to seeing that out of the NBG drivers. Usually they're immediately flicking the wrist to the left, getting down in front of that line when they get the opportunity. Usually they're getting a call out from their teammate, and right there, just the smallest bit of hesitation. And as he comes back up, the line's already moving essentially past him. They're already thinking past him. You know, Cody is, you know, he's got the, you know, figurative hand out the window to the cars behind him saying, hey, come on, and push. He's down. And unfortunately, right there, Merck comes back up, and that does not work when you hesitate like that at the front of the field.
And the damage, it's been a little interesting in my opinion here tonight, Dawson. I mean, certainly Jeff Merck made some contact there, but it wasn't really anything from a wall. It was all car contact. I guess I'm just a little surprised that on that second wreck it destroyed his left front as bad as it did. And that reminds me that tomorrow with the new update, we're expecting the new damage model, not on these cars, but the next gen. So excited for that. But nonetheless, we talked about that'll most likely put an end to Jeff Merck's night. Not what he needed. But on another note, we keep talking about points and everything else. We need to talk about the payouts that we have here tonight. Always based off of, I believe, 25 drivers. And we had that here tonight. So first place going to be going home with over $150. Second, I believe, is over 100 as well. And then second or third and fourth, I believe, is somewhere around 60, 62. So still good payouts here tonight to finish in the top four. And it's going to be close on the fuel window now, Dawson. I think if you come into top off now, then you'll definitely be good to go for regulation and maybe even one overtime.
Yeah, but a lot of the front runners, they're not going to be coming for fuel right here. You don't expect Karosik to pit. You don't expect Maines or York or Nagels or anybody like that to pit. You especially do not expect John Mullihan to pit right here. Mullihan, his hand is forced. He has to stay out. He has to keep the track position, has to stay up here at the front. He needs a good run. David Sheets is in the same boat. He needs a good run as well, especially now with Jeff Merck out of the race. We could potentially be opening another playoff spot. He was 10 points above the line, and if his night is indeed over, then it's going to open up a second spot potentially that we're racing for here at the end of this race. Brock Westmoreland, by the way, he was 2 points above the line. He's nowhere to be found here at the front of the field either. So big opportunity for Mullihan, Sheets, and those drivers around that cut line to stay out and really have a huge opportunity here on the restart.
So Steve Korsak, on the flip side, he's actually had a pretty clean night. A lot of times Steve finds himself collected in one of these wrecks, but it hasn't really been the case so far here tonight. Now, a little bit of an interesting lineup here. Steve takes the bottom. He'll have Garrett up top. A little bit of an odd combo. John Mullihan and Logan York, a little bit of a unlikely combo, if you will, but those two have certainly had a lot of troubles on the track, but nonetheless, they're both talented drivers, and I think Logan, knowing how hard he's going to have to push here, he knows that if he can get Mullihan clear, he'll have a chance to peek out to the lead. And we talked about it, Logan, before when he's found himself in the lead. He's had some good chances, still looking for that first win in one of these major series, but maybe tonight's his night. Good position right now, and with 17 laps to go, watch for some of these people in the back that did top off, or even guys that had just been sitting back, such as Matthew Baker and just about everybody behind him, as a matter of fact, Christopher McCall, to start trying to work their way back to the front. And Christopher McCall still 2 laps down now as Jeff Merckx still being scored in the pits. So we'll see who's able to get the lucky dog on this next one. Looking to see if anybody got it on the last one, and I'm not sure who it was if they did. But nonetheless, we're getting ready to go back green, and it's going to be 16 laps to go.
Yeah, and you're going to see those guys further back, the behind the cut line. Mark Mondell, Mike Davenport, Tony Cox, Cole Fitzpatrick start to work their way forward. Here as we get later in the race, they're going to have to come on forward and join John Mullihan and David Sheets up here at the front of the field. Try to work for this. Logan York, you mentioned, he's had a quietly very good season. He's running 9th in points. He's solidly in the playoffs as of tonight, so he'll be postseason racing starting next week. So a guy that, may not have had the flashy wins and success some of these guys have had, but has had a quietly good season and could really cap it off tonight. Here we go, 16 laps to go. Green flag is back in the air, and Steve Karosik is up through the gears. How about the trio on the bottom? They got the memo in a hurry here on this restart, and they are flying off into turn number 1.
And Steve Korsak on the bottom. I don't know how long he's going to be able to control Garrett Maines. Garrett's going to have a huge run. I think he'll wait for that outside to surge, and then watch for that one machine to jump up to the top. A lot of disorganization right now on the bottom, but they've got the advantage for the moment. Mullihan's actually going to jump to the bottom as well. Dawson, everybody bailed to the bottom right off the start. I'm thinking maybe these guys aren't thinking fuel mileage.
They're going to save fuel. I'm telling you right now, that's what it looks like to me. Everybody bailing down to the bottom against the yellow line, the shortest way around this 2.66 mile Superspeedway. Well, not for long. Of course, they prove us wrong immediately. Here come Maines and Nagels to the outside to block the run of York, Eberhardt, and Michael Triscaro, who's made his way back forward here. Cole Fitzpatrick, we talked about him having to come to the front. He does so now. The 9, that bright yellow and purple machine coming through the field. Eberhardt looks 3 wide. Triscaro goes with him. John Ward, Matthew Baker also up there, and and right as we said they were going to save fuel, not so fast. 3 rows of 3 wide here at the front.
Garrett Main's going to move back up to the middle just in front of Cody Nagels. He saw Eberhardt getting a big run. He's trying everything to fend it off, but D3 is going to have a lot of momentum here. Down the back straightaway. Oh, he gets into Mains. Korsek's around. All of the field's going to be involved in this one. It looks like Korsek with a huge hit to the inside wall. He's destroyed. The caution is out for the 6th time here tonight. And, man, that looked initially like we were going to get everybody, and it's looking now like maybe it was only Steve.
Yeah, I could name off the saves in that one. Logan York made a great save. David Sheets made a great save. Cody Nagels, Garrett Mains as well also made great saves. John Mullahan, a bunch of guys who got past that one somehow, some way. It really only, I think, involves one car, which you're right. When that happens right at the front of the field, you expect it to be double-digit cars, and unfortunately for Steve Korosek, he's going to be the only one that gets the brunt of that one.
Oh, my goodness. I cannot believe, looking back on this, some of the saves. I mean, this is incredible, and this is why I thought it was going to be so many, because I caught just before everybody saved this, and we probably had about 4 or 5 cars sideways here once. Watch this. So let's actually back this up first to how this starts. So here you go. You got Daniel Eberhardt and Michael Triscaro pushing on the outside, and Triscaro's a little bit offset to the left, and that's all it took. Turns Eberhardt down into the inside a little bit. He gets into Garrett Mains, who gets into Steve Korsek. So Garrett saves it by bouncing off of Steve. Then Triscaro gets sideways, bounces off of Cody. He saves it. Logan gets down, gets into David Sheets, so he saves it. And then Ken McCall Jr. as well. He's going to get sideways with no one to save it, and still somehow does. Oh, my goodness. Going back to take another look at that, it was a little bit of an odd look there for Daniel Eberhardt. I mean, it was certainly the offset push that turned him sideways, but it almost looked like maybe there was something secondary that got him even more sideways after. Let's take a ride on board here. So you're going to feel the push there. Oh, that was really interesting right there. I'm not sure. That was a really odd look. I mean, I'm assuming he's trying to save it, but watch this. So he gets pushed. There's the offset push, and he actually turns it left right at the get-go. And I mean, he realizes immediately. I wonder if I don't even know. That's a weird one. I'm thinking there was something going through his head that I'm not sure if he thought maybe he was clear or maybe Garrett had dropped low. I mean, that's kind of an odd one in the sense of, like I said, it was an offset push that initially gets him to the left here, but then you see the car. Watch, there's the push, but then there you go. It gets even further left, and it looked like from the onboard it was more wheel input on the second one than it was actual contact from behind, but see if the chopper view can show us any better right here. And so there's the sideways push, and then yeah, that's a little bit odd, but again, by no means pinning that on Daniel Eberhardt. Just a little bit of offset pushing by Michael Triscaro, and then Steve Korsek, he's going to get the brunt of this one.
Yeah, it's one where there's a razor-thin margin you can push in these cars, and it's kind of a combination of things, almost a perfect storm. Yes, he's a little bit offset to the left, but you're not really used to that being a bumper hook. It's so much more sensitive, but also the fact that is probably the most unstable the car is. When you come off the banking, whether that's turn 2 or turn 4, that is the single most unstable moment for the car. It likes to get air underneath it. It likes to bounce, dance a little bit on corner exit, and so you got to think Eberhardt's car was already dancing a little bit as he comes off turn number 2, and Triscaro just kind of encourages him a little bit more into that left turn, trying to adjust, and unfortunately there it's just a combination of things that leads to the 90 getting sideways. But man, I still have no idea how we did not collect 10 or 15 cars in that wreck.
Yeah, me neither. That was a wreck that just didn't happen, basically. But nonetheless, looks like Garrett Mains still being scored as your leader. John Mullahan in second, Cody Nagels third, John Ward fourth, and David Sheets fifth. We are going to take a quick break and come back for the last about 11 or 12 laps here at Talladega. Stick with us for the finish. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, getting ready for the finish of the regular season finale for Tuesday Night Thunder. Here we go. Garrett Maines on the outside, John Mullihan on the inside. Green flag is back in the air. 11 laps now to go at Talladega. It's a good start for both of the guys in the front row. A little bit further back, a little bit of disorganization on the inside. The outside already off and rolling. And John Ward, first time he's breaking into the top four without having to go 3 wide. And he's going to give a big push here to Garrett Maines to see if he can get him clear. But don't look now. Andrew Navarro, Kevin Freese, they're going to jump to the top and try to get back to the front.
Yeah, they're coming forward, and they got a heck of a run, too. You see a couple of guys starting to get up. There's Mike Davenport. The 55's made his presence felt here at the front. Pressure's on for the guys who are not in a playoff spot right now. John Mullihan is in the best spot of any of them on the front row. I believe he would be in if the race were to end right now. And again, like I said, we're racing for more than one spot with Merck out. It actually makes the cut line a little bit tighter as everything moves up one spot. The cut line's actually going to be Mark Vondell, who's a little bit further back. Navarro, huge run to the outside. He gets the lead at the stripe, and my goodness, they may both get clear here, he and Freese.
And John Ward basically slam drafted Garrett Maines through the tribal, doing everything he can, but it just was not enough. I mean, even the middle's rolling. That just tells you how big of a run that outside got. And we know Kevin Freese is a good pusher. Wow, that was a close call. Garrett's going to get left out to dry in the middle. He'll lose some spots as Kevin Freese is going to get clear. Jason Maines stays up for now, and a guy who earlier looked like he was maybe going to be in a little bit of trouble for the cut line is now right back at the front in Jason Maines. Andrew Navarro back to the lead as we saw earlier as well. Kevin Freese in the middle. What can he do? Michael Triscaro up here. But how about it? 3 by 3 out of turn number 4. Going to be coming to 9 laps to go. This time fuel is not a concern. And just about everybody in the field, whether they're going for points or not, looks like they want to win this race here tonight.
Absolutely. We have some guys that may have to win the race and others that just may want to get some more momentum. Cole Fitzpatrick out of shape a little further back. He's trying to get it together in the 9. He does somehow. Mike Davenport's the guy I'm watching right here in the 55. If that third lane opens up one more time, he and Michael Triscaro would be apt to take it. Mike Davenport needs the points. He's only going to be about 15 points off the cut line with where the cut line's going to be. So I have to see how it shakes out. But Davenport's certainly in a great spot now. And if he and his teammate can get some people to go with them, they may take a look at it right here.
And they're trying, and that third lane quickly died after Jason Maines basically got all the way to the front with it. So I think this is kind of going to recycle the drivers that jump out. Watch for D3, Daniel Everhart to go up. Looks like Cole Fitzpatrick is going to try it. Here goes Matthew Baker. Logan York going to be the lead pusher here. Daniel Everhart will drop out Cole Fitzpatrick. And I think he is trying to make that third lane die again before he jumps up. But Matthew Baker doing a lot of side draft, and he will continue his charge to the front. Meanwhile, Garrett Maines still pushing on the back of Kevin Freese. John Ward still on the back of Andrew Navarro, and further back it's go time. And some of these guys that were in the back all day starting to make their way to the front. How about Michael Triscaro jumping out 3 wide? He wants the lead.
I told you one of those PGR cars would jump out there if he got an opportunity. He jumps out in front of Matthew Baker in the 5. That's a really solid line coming forward here. 34 takes an opportunity. He also, a guy without a win, I believe, this season. Yeah, no wins for the 34. That would be a heck of a momentum boost going into the postseason. He's going to be a postseason driver as well. He would love to get this one done. Navarro up to the middle, trying to block. 7 laps to go. He sees that third line coming. Ward Mullihan now on the bottom. John Mullihan pushing for all he is worth down there against the yellow line, trying to move his line forward.
Track temp only at 78 degrees. You got to wonder if that's hindering this third lane a little bit, as now the cloud cover going to go away. We'll see if that helps warm the track temp up at all. Don't think so. Oh, we got one out through that. Somebody blew up, I think, in the middle of the pack. One into the outside wall. It's Davenport. Couple others slide to the inside wall. And I think out of all of it, again, we're only going to really have one car involved, but that looked like something. I thought maybe we had one blow up in the middle of the pack. And let's see if... No, that was not the case at all. This was actually going to be contact here. Somebody blinks out, and it is Mike Davenport. What in the world? So you see Mike Davenport, he blinks out here. Let's go all the way back to... Oh my goodness, so here you go. And this will just... I mean, we've seen so many odd wrecks tonight, and this is going to be another one. So watch Mike Davenport here. You see the 55. He's in the middle lane, 4th car. He's going to disappear. Watch his internet here. You're going to see the 55 disappears. You go up to the track. Look, you see the hole there. Nothing. And then watch. He's going to reappear. Boom. And when he reappears, he's basically inside the car of Matthew Baker. And then, I mean, at that point, what are you supposed to do if you're Matthew Baker? Nothing. I mean, he's there in that sense of 55 around, and then everybody's trying to scatter to miss him. And once he gets turned back around by, it looks like Richard Elliott, Danny Barnes nowhere to go. Ken McCall Jr. a little bit of damage, but boy, we see some netcode wrecks, but that takes it to a whole new level right there. Oh my goodness.
Well, usually when a car blinks like that, they come back and they're either, almost like morphed inside another car, or they just come back no harm, no foul. We see it quite a bit at the front row. I've never seen a car come back and be mid-spin. That's a new one for me, and I'm sure was a new one for the rest of the pack. Man, I had almost started to call another wreck. I thought for sure that was going to be another double-digit car wreck, and somehow, some way, we escaped with only one car involved. I have no idea how.
Well, that was the weirdest... That's one of the weirdest wrecks I've ever seen. And I mean, I wish we had Baker in here right now. Actually, let's see if we can pull him up here real quick. I want to ask him about that one because that was something definitely pretty different. And see what he's got to say about it here real quick. Hey, Baker, this is Austin Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Oh, man.
Well, I wish we could have had a live reaction on that wreck because I've never seen something like that. I mean, what were you thinking when all of a sudden you saw a car appear in your cockpit?
Yeah, I knew he had connection issues. I was hoping it was going to netcode through him. He was inside of my cockpit when it happened, but glad we got through it. Just unfortunate, but you're going to see a really good battle here for the championship. Can't believe Andrew was able to roll that fucking third line and get in front of Garrett, so it's real close. I mean, if Andrew wins this race, I think Garrett has to finish second to have a chance.
Yeah, and Andrew Navarro's been aggressive, but looking at you, I mean, you're still going to have a chance to get up there. You find yourself in the top 10. You looking for that third lane again?
Yeah, buried on the bottom right now, but going to try and find my way up, see if I can slot in between Everhart and Jones. It's going to be tough, but, we'll try to get up there. If not, just try and split the middle, try and get there.
All right, well, we appreciate you giving us a quick word on that wreck, and we'll see if you can get back up there and maybe get yourself a win here tonight.
Thanks, man.
And so Matthew Baker, there you go. Dawson, I didn't even realize that, but, well, there you have it. Doing a little math in race for us, says if Andrew Navarro wins, Garrett Maines has to probably get second, and that's going to make things a little bit more interesting here, especially with what's going to be, looks like 3 laps to go. So Garrett's going to be on the move. Navarro's probably going to be blocking for all he's worth, and I don't remember how much it is, but I believe it's probably at least $500 for the regular season champion, so I don't think either of these guys are going to give it up too easily.
Yeah, what a battle. What a natural battle that's formed up for the regular season title within single digits. And you're right. Who better to battle it out for these last regular season payouts than Garrett Maines and Andrew Navarro. I mean, they're going to put on a heck of a show right here, I would think, going for the regular season title. All the while, we got to watch our playoff fringe drivers as well. John Mullahan, David Sheets, still very much in the picture here at the front of the field. Cole Fitzpatrick's not too far back. And then you have Mark Vondell, who has now started to pick up a few spots. He's starting to come forward, but the 2 and the 0-6 may be battling for one spot right here.
Yeah, I mean, I need more monitors at this point. I got 2, but it's not enough for all the action that we've got going on track with the points and everything in between. But we're going to try to catch it all here for these last 3 laps. Andrew Navarro is going to line up on the inside. And looking at it here, I think that's probably a pretty good choice because he sees that Garrett Maines is also on the inside, so he doesn't want to risk jumping up if he doesn't have to here. He's going to try to keep Garrett Maines pinned behind, but got to be careful here. If John Ward gets clear and drops low, that's where you can start to get a little bit of a mix-up in positions, and if they leave that middle open, don't be surprised if Kevin Freese and Garrett try to take it, and we will see what happens here. John Mullahan, he's still going for a win, too, to see if he can make it into the playoffs. He's in pretty good position right now, but again, you never know until it's all said and done. And Michael Triscaro, Matthew Baker, who were working together on that top lane and making some ground, they're going to line up together, but they'll have to try to work their way to the top. David Sheets back up here as well. I mean, this is going to be a good one here.
All kinds of storylines here. Guys without wins, guys who need points, guys battling for the regular season championship. It's all going to come down to 3 laps, and all of these guys have somehow found their way to the front. It just somehow works out that way. Every now and then you get this kind of natural big-time ending where you got a lot of stuff going on at once, a lot of moving parts here on this restart. It's going to be really interesting. Who goes with who? I mean, you got Mullihan. He's trying to go for his own thing. Cody Nagels, he's in the playoffs, but who does he help here at the front of the field? Certainly not an abundance of teammates for him, but guys like that, it's going to be interesting to see where they go in all this with so many different things going on here at once.
Yeah, and real quick look at the schedule for where we're going to head for the playoffs. Round of 16 will be Talladega next Tuesday, and then we'll go to Daytona the Tuesday after. And then once we decide our round of 8, we will move back to Talladega. Talladega for the round of 4 as well, which will be the championship race. And we're going to see a lot of money given out there as well. So tonight, the last chance to get in. And we have raced just about all of our 60 laps here tonight. It's going to be 3 laps to go. One more than a natural green-white checkered. Andrew Navarro trying to hold on to see if he can win the regular season championship. Garrett Maines, we'll see if he can get up there and try to hold on to himself. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. Logan York gets into the back of Matthew Baker before we even go green. They both save it. But it looks like on the inside, Andrew Navarro off to a better restart. That is good news for him. John Ward, though, will get a surge of momentum here as John Mullihan, one of his ex-teammates, is going to get to his back bumper. Kevin Freeze going to get clear. Navarro hops up. I don't know if it was the right move, but he commits to it. Here we go. Drag race down the back.
Navarro has to save the car onto the back straightaway. Ward got off center and pushed him on the left rear quarter. That actually does keep Garrett Maines pinned, but for how long with the one as the lead pusher here on the bottom? Navarro right back to the bottom. There's the smart play. I'm with you. I don't think I would have made that move if I was Andrew Navarro. Luckily, is able to get a do-over here into turn number 3. Pin Garrett Maines third in line. Now Mullihan waiting for some help, man. Not sure what's going on with Cody Nagels. Now Michael Triscaro says, well, thank you very much. I'm going to jump right up here behind the 2. Now to add Triscaro to the variables. Add D3 as well. The 90 is up on the outside line. 2 laps to go at the line. The 90 starting to work forward. Outside line dead in the water. What does Navarro do here?
And generally, as that third lane forms, it'll ultimately make that middle fade a little bit. So if you're Navarro, you got to be careful. Oh, he's going to jump up again. He must know something we don't, as Ward gives him a huge bump in the corner. Navarro has to save it again. He's trying everything to stay dead even, and he will. He's going to drag race Kevin Freeze all the way to turn 3. If we can make it to the white flag, this race will be official. I'll tell you what, Dawson, I think he's doing it just to make sure that Garrett Maines doesn't get a chance to hop up, and it's working well right now. But for how long? Now we're going to see some contact. Triscaro has to save it. Chaos out back as Cody Nagels tries to lead the third lane. Kevin Freeze gets turned. He saves it to the inside. More contact out back. Everybody trying to hold on, coming into the travel. Are they going to make it? Looks like they do. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Talladega.
They do, but Navarro is dead in the water here. He's stuck 3 wide. He's got Eberhardt behind him, but he's pretty much dead in the water. Trouble. Around goes Jason Maines further back. He's going to save it. Contact between the leaders here in 1 and 2. Where does John Mullihan go? You know Mullihan could win his way in. Oh, my goodness, what a hit for Chris McCullough. They wreck huge further back. Barrel rolling. All at the front. John Ward's trying to block. John Mullihan's going to go for the win here.
Kevin Freeze out of it. So now Garrett Maines just trying to get clear. Go with anyone, but Andrew Navarro faded out. So Garrett may be okay in third. Right now the race is on between the 92 and the 2. Logan York going to throw a big block on Eberhardt. He makes it stick. Eberhardt gets into Nagels. Now Daniel Eberhardt looking to split the O2. Another big block. Garrett Maines some contact with him and Logan York. Drag race out back up front. It's all John Ward. He wins the regular season finale at Talladega. Oh my goodness, what a finish. The amount of stuff that we had going on that last lap was just chaos, but John Ward gets the job done. And he's going to be a pretty happy man about it. And I'll tell you what, it was a 0.05 of a second, Dawson, but I think if we had about another 100 yards or so, that may have been a little bit closer than it initially was. But let's go back and take a look at this white flag lap. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it in the back of my head at the time, but that hit by Christopher McCall was something that definitely haven't seen before. That was another big hit that we've seen here tonight. But here we go, white flag's in the air. And actually, let's go back because Andrew Navarro was already split at this point. And so Kevin Freeze gets turned out of line by, looks like his teammate here. Yeah, Garrett Maines just pushing. And oh man, that's such a tough break too, Dawson. It looks like when Kevin gets turned here, I think the game takes netcode from Kevin Freeze's right rear. And No, actually, I take that back. It looks like Andrew Navarro maybe gets loose. I think he's getting pushed really hard right here from John Ward. And let's see if we can see some contact. I think that's what's happening right there. I think John Ward is just pushing Navarro really hard. Navarro has to catch it and gets himself out of the groove as a result. And then John Ward is going to go by further back. Kevin Freese saves it, comes back on track. But here we go. White flag, once this came out, everybody was just scattering everywhere. So Jason Maines is going to be the first man to get turned out of line. Ooh, looks like him and Mark Vondell make contact. Jason goes down. I think he was able to hold on to it for the most part. But then Christopher McCall, I mean, my goodness, watch this hit for the 94. Off the front bumper, Dylan Jones, and then just gets T-boned by Justin Mills. And then barrel rolls a couple times down the back straightaway. And then the race was on up front. Before we go look at that finish, take another look here from the cockpit view for Christopher McCall. I mean, this was brutal. That was a really, really big hit for Christopher McCall, so that ends his chances. Then we go back up front, John Ward, but Logan York did all sorts of blocking right here. It didn't really form up, I think, because all the blocking ended up killing some of the momentum, but he's working with Cody Nagels in the middle, but he sees that they're stacked up with 3 cars up top, so he sees Eberhard coming, throws a huge block, and actually holds on to it when Eberhard gives him the big shove. Eberhard looks to the middle. Logan blocks that. Now Garrett, I think, is trying to force his way to the middle and gets there, but then Eberhard makes more contact with Maines, and I mean, it was just bumper cars just about to the finish. Now Mullihan with another run to the bottom, but just not quite enough, and the margin of victory for John Ward is going to be just under a car length.
Yeah, what a finish to a regular season championship race. I mean, John Ward, what a huge win it is for him going into the playoffs, his first of the season, and what a better time for it to come than now. And what a Herculean effort for John Mullihan, who, by my math, is in the playoffs. I think he made up enough points by virtue of a second-place finish to get himself in. What an effort by the two.
And taking a look at your finishing results here for the night, John Ward gets the win. John Mullihan finishes up in second. Garrett Maines in third. Logan York fourth. Daniel Eberhard in fifth. Matthew Baker sixth. Andrew Navarro in seventh. Ken McCall Jr. in eighth. Tony Cox, good run tonight. Actually was able to sneak into the top 10 right there at the end. And Cody Nagels rounding out your top 10.
Mike Davenport finishes in the 11th position. Michael Triscaro in 12th. Danny Barnes 13th. Mark Vondell 14th. And Jason Maines in 15th. Kevin Freese finishes 16th. Steve Karosik 17th. Jared Mogart 18th. David Sheets in 19th. And Brock Westmoreland rounds out the top 20.
Cole Fitzpatrick finishes 21st. Dylan Jones 22nd. Richard Elliott 23rd. Justin Mills in 24th with Matt Lee 25th. Christopher McCall in 26th. Jeff Merck, bad luck, finishes 27th. I don't know if he's going to be able to advance. We'll have to know more on that next week. All right, we're going to go see if we can find your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Back live with conclusion of the Talladega 60 final race of the regular season for Tuesday Night Thunder. Going to start first with your third place. Well, actually, take it back. We're going to start first tonight with your second place finisher as we still await Garrett Maines to join the waiting room, and that's John Mullihan. John, this is Austin and Dawson. You got a copy? Well, you sound a little bit scattered. Just want to make sure we have you okay. Can you still hear us all right?
Yeah, I've got you loud and clear.
And there we go. All right. Well, you bring home a second-place finish here tonight, and we were actually talking about midway through the broadcast how it almost seems like you kind of changed from your old self. You're a lot more patient, a lot more conservative now, and things tend to open up, especially at the end of these races, as it did here tonight. Looked like maybe 100 yards more. Do you think you have a chance at winning it?
Austin, I agree with you. Good things come to those who wait. And, yeah, I do. I think another 100 yards or so I may have been able to sneak out there in front of Ward. But overall, this is a very successful night. We needed a good points run, and we were fortunate enough to have that tonight.
And that was the next point I was going to bring up. Points, you were outside looking in coming into the race. Now with the second, again, I don't have the official points math. Dawson's working as a calculator right now trying to figure it all out. But if you're able to make it into that next round back to Talladega next week, do you change the method of approach at all for the playoffs?
No, man. If it's not broke, you don't fix it. I've been running pretty solid since last Thursday over to PGR and, plan to keep that success rolling. So let's keep on trucking.
Phenomenal drive tonight for the 2-car. Before we let you head out, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Austin Dawson up in the booth, Ron Morris for putting it on, all the guys over at McCullough Motorsports, over at Canal Valley Key and Fob, down at Will Jory Loan, both my sons, Carter and Jackson, and my girlfriend, Brittany. Awesome folks.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the second place finish, and we will see you next week.
I plan on it. See you guys.
All right, and now that'll bring up your third place finisher, Garrett Means. Dawson Wise stands by with him.
Yeah, I do. Hey, Garrett, it's the boys up in the booth. You get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, a great run for you tonight. That's what we're accustomed to seeing out of you. It's enough tonight, I believe, to clinch you the regular season championship. So a huge season for you, a very successful season. Take us through the night, the chaos that was that last lap, how you managed to come home with a third place finish.
Well, at the beginning, I was really counting laps, literally counting laps led, because I knew I didn't get the pole. I missed that to Kevin. And, Andrew didn't get it, thankfully. So, kept me at a 4-point gap. But it was literally, that 2-point bonus for most laps led. I was like, that's going to make a difference. We got the stage win. We put 1 point on him there. But 5 points is nothing. He wins the race and I finish second. I still lose. So, we knew we needed to stay in position. And we got the most laps led. That gave us some leeway. And there was the incident on 46 with Daniel. And I've gone back and watched that. And I'm, needless to say, very upset with that. I don't know if anybody has gone into detail on that, but that's what some of the heated conversations are about right now. That really put us in a bad spot. I didn't want to tell people how tore up I was because I wanted help, but I couldn't even get to the guy's back bumper in front of me. I had to have somebody shoving through me for me to be able to keep up. Didn't know it was that bad until we went green, but I made my bed staying out, and that's kind of what I had to do to keep my track position. Andrew got really lucky to be able to drive by there. And he looked like he was going to be in position. And then I turned Kevin and freaking screwed that up. I bumper hooked him. I went to push him at the perfect wrong time. Didn't even get an X, just looped him around. And that was just poor timing. I was being extremely aggressive, trying to keep Kevin out front, trying to do everything I could with my temps and just take the runs when I got him to try to help him, just hit him at the wrong time. But yeah, and then, you saw the coming to the end. I don't know how we survived that either. Just one of those nights. I feel like, I could have done better, but there were some other things that definitely shouldn't have been going on, but I'm so happy to have actually made it through. I'm gonna be sending Kevin some money here because I absolutely hosed him there. But yeah, overall, I'm happy to be able to walk away with the regular season championship. I can't believe I still didn't win a single race all season, but I somehow won the points. I'm not gonna complain about that.
Well, absolutely. And regardless of that, the races really start to count now. We exit the regular season. We're into the postseason. You're on a huge tear this year. You're still awaiting that win, but we're into a point of the season now where the wins start to matter a little bit more. What's the game plan here going into the playoffs?
We just saved all the wins for the end of the season, I guess. Eventually we'll finish one of these out. I think I've learned every way I can lose. But, I think it's going to come down to the fact that some of these guys aren't going to be playoff cars, and then it'll be just don't let the playoff cars win if I'm not going to win. And I'm not saying, that's going to be, a bad situation. I'm just saying, that'll be the difference in strategy is just knowing, who you're racing and, where you need to position yourself. Because that's what Andrew started doing there at the end. He knew he needed to bury me. I couldn't be second. So he made sure I wasn't. And almost worked for him, but it's been great racing with him all season. I think him and I, for a lot of the season, were running solo and just kind of doing our own thing. And, we just kind of took care of each other on the track and were able to stay up front. And honestly, I thought it was going to be pretty much locked up last week, and me and Cody had our incident. No, it was like nothing, malicious, just 2 bad incidents in a row on the last lap, and kind of took us out of like a really good position in points, and we were lucky to be able to still come away with it tonight.
Absolutely, and what a points battle that you and Andrew Navarro shared the last several weeks of the regular season. Well, we got you up here for a second after this 3rd place finish. Anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a huge shout out to Scott at MCU Body, Lennox, the guys at Ryko. Also, big thank you to Cody there and Baker for all their help there at the end, because honestly, if Baker hadn't gone to the bottom, I don't know if he did it as a favor to me or if he just did it to advance, but I know he didn't end up in the money, but he did a phenomenal job. If he hadn't done that, I definitely wouldn't have been in position. So huge thank you to him. Definitely recognize that that made the difference for me.
All right. Well, congratulations on a 3rd place finish, and congratulations on a fantastic regular season. The regular season champion this season. We will see you next week for the first week of the playoffs.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And now that'll move us on to your winner here tonight, John Ward in the 92 machine. See if we can bring him up here. Hey, John, this is Austin and Dawson in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, well, you get the win, and man, you had to work all night to get up there, but once you did, you were able to hold them all off at the end. Now, we saw what looked like maybe a little bit of an offset push to Andrew Navarro. Break that down for us, and then ultimately how you're able to hold off all the charging cars on that last lap.
Yeah, we're on the restart there. Mollahan was behind me as a former teammate. I was hoping he was going to stay with me. Navarro, I was getting a little, he jumped down, controlling the line. Controlling the lines a little bit, and I was just trying to get a good, I didn't want to be left in the middle or whatever, because I didn't have no teammates. This whole season, I didn't have any teammates at all. But this race, I had a couple in there was going to try to help me. We never linked up, but overall had a good run at the end there. I don't know how he got out of shape. I wasn't going to let off his last lap. He got wiggly a couple times. He should have stayed down. He had a good run down there, but he did come up, I think, to help his teammates down there. But he got wiggly and came up, and luckily Mollahan stayed with me there. If it wasn't for him, then I don't think I would have got the win. So if Mollahan pushed me there, that was the good job by him.
Well, we see how much success you've had over in PGR. You're bringing it over here to Tuesday night, looking good to make a run through the playoffs. And I want to ask you the same question that we asked Mollahan with his good run here tonight. When you head into the playoffs, do you change the approach that you take throughout the regular season, or do you just keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I think you need to be a little bit more aggressive just to be up there and be in the mix. I mean, in the back, there's so much stuff going on in the back. But I think you do got to change it up a little bit and be a little more aggressive. I don't usually qualify. I'm going to try to start it, get up in the front there, and be a little more aggressive from my side of things in the playoffs.
Well, a good win for you here tonight. Hey, before we let you head out, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting, and Ron Morris for putting this on, and my teammates and McCullough Motorsports there. They helped me out there at the end. And I just want to thank everybody for a good night of racing.
All right. Well, again, congrats on the win, and we will see you next week in the round of 16.
You got it. Appreciate it.
All right, so that is just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight for the final race in the regular season for Tuesday Night Thunder. I thank you all so much for coming out. I hope everybody did enjoy. And Dawson, it's been a great season so far, expecting even better here throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, the regular season set us up really nicely for the playoffs. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. If tonight was any indicator, we are in for a wild few weeks to see who's going to win this season of Tuesday Night Thunder.
That is all for me, Austin Green and Dawson Wise here at Talladega Superspeedway. We'll be back next week. See you then. Have a good night.